Hello everybody, welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to my live wrap of what I got up to this week. It was a pretty busy week this week, even though now we are coming towards winter. Um, Everything's starting to finally slow up a little bit in regards to growth, particularly lawns. But we're still getting a few warm days here and there. So, yeah, so it's a bit of a mixed bag actually when it comes to some lawns out there. Um, some are still growing pretty well, actually, but we are now practically at the end of the season, and normally this time of the year, it's practically just cleaning up yards that haven't really had much work done to them, um, particularly in the last 6 to 12 months. So, get a lot of overgrown lawns, a lot of pruning, hedging, things like that. Good time to totally trim everything back, slash and trim, get everything ready for spring. We haven't had many frosts yet, so it always pays to get your trees and everything, all your shrubbery, all trimmed right back before the frosts set in. We had a couple of frosty days, but I wouldn't say that it's completely frost yet. So this week we started on Monday, had a big property that um, hadn't been really maintained for close to 2 years. So particularly throughout the paving areas, there was a lot of green coming through the cracks, a lot of grass, a lot of weeds. So just a lot of whippersnipping and a lot of picking up of the green waste. Um, so yeah, the job I did on Monday, we started off with doing the front nature strip, which was which was pretty thick. I mean, for a lawn that hadn't really been mowed for over a year, it wasn't really bad, really. But the soil is pretty hard, a hard type of soil, so the grass doesn't tend to grow as freely as what some lawns do. But anyway, we'll have a look at this one, and because this was the very first job we done on Monday. So we're just on my Facebook page here. Where are we? Actually, I might just reset this. Reset. Okay. So yeah. So it was a nature strip we first started out with on Monday. Got there at about 11 a.m. Okay. Here it is. Alright. Okay. So there it is. Yeah, so once again, just as you can see, the edges are right out. Um, so just basically came through with the whippersnipper, smashed out the line. Tell you what, it really came up really well, this nature strip, after it was done. It was such a beautiful morning as well. As you can see, the sun was shining. Um, it was a warm day actually. I think it was around 20, 21 degrees that day. So yeah, it wasn't really a bad day to be uh, hitting the gardens on Monday. So yeah, just trim those edges back, sweeping up the excess, and get the lawnmower now. And I'm literally just going to smash the lawnmower over the green waste and just pick it up that way. I like to always trim and then bring it all together and then just catch it, whack it straight into the catcher, and then blow back all the excess, and then get all those edges ready, and then just start basically just mowing it and cutting it down. All right. Okay. So yeah. So that one basically was the start of my week. So that was my first cut of the week. So we just tackled that nature strip. Okay. Now let's have a look at what was next. Okay. So from the nature strip, then I went to the driveway part. The driveway, this part here. So basically, yeah, it was just a whippersnipper job mainly overall, just collecting what green waste I could, just whippersnipping around the yakka tree. And as you can see there, I've got my other camera there, or my phone there, and that was the phone I was using for my YouTube live. So I was doing the YouTube live and also recording the videos at the same time. So whenever you see my phone and my shots, you know that I'm YouTubing live at the same time. So yeah, so this was just straightforward. Basically, just clean up everything, whippersnip around the pavers, and just generally tidy it up and put the green waste into the bin, and that was that one done. Okay, and then from there we went to the front side of the property itself, inside the property. So we start making our way through the front gate, and that's this one here. And okay, yep, and once again, just sweeping, trimming, blowing out all the leaf. There's a lot of leaf that had built up, just cutting, removing, and putting everything into the green waste bin, making it all nice and tidy. And now, as you can see around the paving area, around the shrubbery areas, there's just bits of grass and weeds and stuff. So I just continue to whippersnip around those areas and whippersnip and lawn mow, just keeping everything nice and trimmed. It wasn't too bad really. I mean, this part of the block wasn't that bad. It's more when we got to the back of the property. That's when the job got a little bit more arduous, but it really did come up good. It's amazing, what a good whippersnip can do to areas like this. She's a very old property, and the landscaping, it's a little bit outdated, but it is maintainable. That's the thing with a property like this. It's just one of those properties that you just need to try to stay on to make it keep looking good. It's a gardener's garden, this property, and it really is. It's really a good property. It's got so much room. It's a property that's perfect for kids and a big family. And there are. I mean, this is actually a decent sized family that reside at this property. So it really is. It's quite a. It's like a wonderland, really. I mean, all the pavers and all the areas that sort of swerve around the garden remind me of. It's like being in the Wizard of Oz, I guess. Like you're sort of like bouncing along the pathways and having fun. But it really is it really is a awesome property. Very green, very green. Okay, so that was the front of the property. So you got the front gate. As you enter the property, you have those pavers. So we trimmed up all along there, and then we got to the back. And this is the back. This is the back right here. Start from scratch. Alright. Okay, now as you can see there was a fridge and a washing machine, so I had to sort of move them around just so I could trim underneath them. Luckily there wasn't that much stuff really to trim around that area. So I started trimming around that area first. Then I just came through, blew it, moved them around. Once I trimmed up that area there where the fridge was, then I could move on to this other level here. So yeah, just started trimming. This is a garden bed. There was a lot of grass and everything in there, so that needed to be smashed down. And then that level there, it's like another garden bed area. And yeah, I just basically chopped through all of that. Went through with the hedge trimmer, hedge trimmed a bit of the shrubbery, young shrubbery in there, and then it was just basically just smashing out this pave area. This area here really came out really nicely. As you can see there to the right, there was tables. That one there was basically a rotted old table, basically ready for the rubbish. So we just moved it as we went, just methodically getting through it, trimming as I'm going, making the areas clear, and then moving the tables over to that area, and then just continuing over towards the fence, and just continuously just cutting, blowing and sweeping everything out until we got the pavers looking like pavers again. So yeah, no, it really did come up really well, this part, so I was quite pleased. It was really good. So that was the paving area done. That was the paving area done. So on to the next part of this block, of this job. I think this property all up would be about 900 squares, which is a pretty decent sized block in this day and age. A lot of blocks I do maximum maybe 550 squares, but when you get decent sized blocks like this, yeah, they definitely keep you going. Yeah, the area there, you know, you get certain areas of Wyndham Vale, Hoppers Crossing, and Werribee, where you get these older properties that, you know, that have land to them, you know, that actually, you know, they're actually a property, you know, where you can actually bring your family up. And unlike some of the properties that, you know, people do tend to have these days, they are a lot smaller, but the houses are a lot bigger. So people are, you know, seem to be going for more of a house than a block. So the gardening and everything is not so extensive. But I'll tell you what, I've done properties that are half the size of this that have taken me just as long to do. But yeah, properties like this are really good properties, because you got room in there, you know. All right. Next. Okay, so from there we went to the concrete pad rear part. Big concrete pad at the back, surrounded this bit here, surrounded by gardens. So it's like a concrete pad area. This is how I can explain it. It's concrete. It's basically. So we did that side bit. So now we're coming around the back. The back sort of. The back end of it, but not the complete whole back end of it. Sort of like just part of it. So yeah, so this area basically is just one big massive concrete area, and it's not just like a flat surface of concrete pad. It's like it's a mixture of different shapes and different they've poured the concrete and you know, like they've made it like designed it, you know. It sort of looks like a pool has been filled in, but I don't think it has. But anyway, this is it here. So yeah, so that, once again, there was a lot of gaps, a lot of cracks and stuff that had grass and weeds growing through it. Some of the weeds were quite stalky and thick. So yeah, and then that area there, as you can see, that's actually a synthetic grass area, and that was just basically smothered with weeds and grass grown in between, you know, in between the joins. So yeah, just a lot of whippersnipping, a lot of trimming out, and also that garden bed had a lot of green waste in it as well. So a lot of the green waste came from that garden bed, and it was just all over the place. And similar to the other side, synthetic grass, uh, grass coming through all the gaps, and yeah, just the lawnmower owning the day basically. So what I do is I put the lawnmower basically kissing the concrete, and it actually just helps skim off all the excess weeds and grass. So it makes it a lot easier. And then I can just come through with the whippersnipper and clear it up after that. And then it's just sweeping and raking and blowing. So, you know, because I use an electric uh, blower, the jobs like this, you know, they, you know, I go through a lot of batteries, so I try and use my broom as much as I can. You know, I tell you, if there's one good thing, is you can't go past the good old-fashioned broom. You know, you can run out of fuel, you can run out of power, you can have a blocked carburetor, and your blower doesn't work, but you'll always have a good broom. Got a good broom, and you're good at sweeping. You know, even though it takes a little bit longer, um, you've always got your broom. You know, that's a good thing about gardening. You know, sometimes when some of the tools that, you know, some of your electric or your, you know, gas powered tools fail, hedge trimmers, things like that, chopping tools, sometimes you can just pull out the old hand tools, pull out an axe. Chainsaw doesn't work, axe the tree. You know, that's a good thing about gardening, is that, like, apart from your lawnmower, you need a good lawnmower, you need a good whippersnipper. Those are your two main tools. But all the other tools that you use, if they let you down, you know, there's always an alternative. So, but anyway, so yeah, so basically the whole pad, this whole concrete pad was pretty shocking. You know, like overall it was really messy. So literally what I did with this job was just give it a really good clean, and just, yeah, because it had been like a couple of years since they had actually gone through and done all of this. So yeah, it was really ugly, you know. So, but as you can see there, we're getting there, and I've got a few piles of green waste. And I just basically just blew everything into these piles, and then after everything's all tidied up and clean, then I pick it all up and put it onto a tarp. As you can see, this is actually part of the other side that we had already done. There was still some green waste on this end, so I'm just sweeping back over that area. Dropped a little bit there, had a bit of bad luck there, but we got back onto that, and then just pulled it out to the front, and then off to my trailer. Okay, all right. Okay, now so that's 1, 2, 3. So that's 4 parts to that job already, or 4 different takes, or 4 different videos. that's how big this job was. Like this job, like I said, was 2 years worth of maintenance that hadn't been done, and so yeah. Okay, so we did that part. Okay, I think this one here is the. Pretty sure though. Yeah. Okay, look. Oh, okay. This is the hedge. This is the hedge. Okay, now there was a hedge. There was a hedge. Oh no, this isn't the hedge. This is the rubbish from the hedge. Okay, don't worry about that. Where is the hedge? Okay, we'll go with the hedge next. Just because I want to do the hedge. Okay, so the hedge. Okay, there was a hedge around that concrete area that we just finished, and well, this is it, and this is part of that concrete area. So literally, I went over the hedge. It wasn't actually part of the original job that I quoted it for. It was just really my job was to basically clean up the walkways and the lawn and the grass and stuff. But what I decided was I'll do this part as well because I literally had to go down that part anyway just to clean that concrete pad again. So this is that concrete pad. So I cleared out all the green waste along the concrete pad, and then I started on the hedge. It's only a little 1 meter hedge, but it was everything that was on top of the hedge that was really looking quite fugly. So I started trimming all that out, and just trying to even it up with the bottom of the hedge because it sort of looked like, you've got like this little 1 meter high hedge thingy going around the area, like the perimeter, and then you had these trees in behind it sort of hanging over it, and it just didn't look straight. So the hedge wasn't bad itself. It was just everything that was over it. So what I did was I went over it all. I went over it, gave everything a trim. There's my phone because I'm live streaming, and then that's it. Just kept trimming that the shrubbery and over the top of it. It's a real weird block because they've grown trees on top of a hedge, and it just looks like it's sort of clustered in and doesn't look right. But I mean, it's also a very, very old garden, so I wouldn't be surprised. Now those yuccas there, they were just also overhanging the hedge and sort of coming down and out, and if you went up against that part of the hedge, you just end up getting your eyes poked out. So what I did was I chopped off a lot of the lower leaf and then left the top part of it because I wasn't there to take the tree right out. I mean, to be honest, I'd probably rip the whole thing out because they're just all in the wrong spot. But it was just more about trying to just even everything out and tidy everything up. This little hedge here is pretty cool. Like, it's got little angles to it, little real weird little angles to it, and it's a really cool shape. It's a really, really cool hedge actually. So yeah, we're just shaping it out now, just finishing it up. So yeah, so this hedge part was not really part of the original quote, but because I wanted to get a good job done on this job, I basically just done it because it was going to set the whole job off at the end of the day. And you can see where the green waste has been too on the concrete pads. A little bit of green waste from the yucca there, but all that got picked up at the end of the job. So yeah, and including that pile there, that all got picked up. So yeah, so this is it. This is the end part of it. So this is that back part that we whippersnipped, and the hedge and the shrubbery and the trees that sort of overhang it. Now the next and the last job is that corner bit to the right there, and that's the next video I'm going to show you. And yeah, so this is sort of part five of the job, sort of like section 5. Okay, so the last part of the job, is this one. Okay, so done the hedge, done the concrete pad part, and now we're doing the left corner of the property, because this is a big property. Like I said, this was a decent sized property, 900 square type property, 900 squares, big house too, double story, old but awesome property. Now, so this is now the last part. Once again, very similar to the other side, lots of pavers. They were grass everywhere right throughout it, pretty much just full of weeds and stuff. I've already whippersnipped most of it. The lawnmower's going in, just chopping around the around the grassy areas. I think that's actually supposed to be a garden, but it's basically a lawn. So just once again, just mowing around the lawn areas, and as you can see there, where I've just whippersnipped up against, there's like a raised garden bed, and that's full of grass. And so I get my handy dandy whippersnipper into that, just pulled out the hose that was basically growing in the grass, and just gave it a good trim out. Basically made it look $1,000,000. And then just going over that last bit over there, which is the paver area, and that's basically it. That was it. The job was done, and this is that part done. So yeah, awesome job, big job, but yeah, be good if be one of those jobs that needs to be maintained a little bit more than a couple of years. That's all I can say. Okay, and then it's just dragging everything out on my tarp. So there's a lot of green waste, maybe about half a trailer load worth all up that I pulled out of it. So yeah, so it was just me loading it onto the trailer now and getting it out. It was a bit of a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. Some of it fell out. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, with trying to drag everything up. But I always find pulling my green waste around with a tarpaulin is just so much easier than putting it into bags. Bagging is just so time consuming. If you've got, it depends on whether you got access and stuff, but I just chuck everything onto a big dirty tarp. I just chop everything onto that. I'll tell you what, without the tarp, I don't know what I'd do. All right. Okay, so that is that job. That is that job. Okay, so that was that job. So this was the Wyndham Vale job. I done on Monday. Started on Monday, finished it on Tuesday. Lots of pavers. It's such an awesome paving job, to be honest. Whoever did all the paving in this joint, just so much detail. But so old, such an old property. I don't know. It's from the 80s. This property, probably maybe even late 70s. But everything in this property is just pretty cool. Not many people go to the trouble these days of putting all this sort of stuff in. Like they might do like stenciling and stuff like that instead. But yeah, it's a lot of paving, for sure. Okay, so that was me done with that job. That was a big one. So that took me up to about Tuesday with that one. So yeah. So I don't think I recorded anything else. I think that might have been it for the week. Yes, I think it was. I think after that it was just regular jobs. So yeah. No doubt though there's going to be some jobs hiding away somewhere, I believe. waiting for me over the next few weeks. Probably a few jobs that haven't been done, that probably should have been done maybe during the summer or maybe even the summer before. But we get a lot of overgrown jobs. Look at that picture there, eh? That was an overgrown job. I never actually did that job. This was actually a picture I took of a property that was just sitting there, and literally that was not mowed for like 5 years. Like they actually had to come through when they mowed this lawn with a bobcat with a attachment, like a lawn mowing attachment, like a slasher. It was really awesome, actually. Like I thought to myself, man, that's exactly what I'd use for something like that, because they didn't really, because it was very high, as you can see. I mean, look how high that stuff is, and they didn't really know what was underneath a lot of this, because there were mounds and all sorts. So nobody probably, no tractor or anything would have wanted to go through there, because you could be driving along and next minute, end up, So they came through and they just like, and they could like pop it up in the air and just bring it down and just see what's there, and if there's a mound there, they could pull it off and then go somewhere else. But yeah, this lawn here, that is juicy. And could you imagine what was lurking in there? There would have been snakes and all sorts in there. But anyway, okay, so that was basically it, that job. So I'll refresh this. So that was basically it for me. This was my biggest. These were my biggest jobs of the week, or biggest job, or biggest property of the week. Was that one? And so as we go through there, that was it. So tomorrow is Friday, and it's the end of the week. Haven't got really any overgrown big jobs coming up over the next week or so at the moment, but if we do, I will definitely let you know about it. We've had a few big jobs, to be honest, over the last 6 months. A lot of thick grass grew. We had our dry periods, obviously around December, January, but it was quite surprising. There was still a lot of work out there, still a few thick jobs out there that were sort of hanging around. Check this block out. Check that out. Wow, all the rubbish on it. This lawn here, that was a thick one. Yeah, we've had some real decent jobs for sure, and fun. Yeah, it goes really fast too, doesn't it? Like the summer period and the spring period, I tell you what, it was pretty warm too, It had some fairly hot days, that cowboy hat, wasn't for that hat. I think I would have passed out on about half of those jobs. This one here, this one was a thick one. Yeah, actually, let's have a little talk about that one. Where is it? This yard was pretty thick too, not to lie. This was a good one. It was only a small yard, but it was like that up this side as well, and also the front of the house as well, right out onto the nature strip. Yeah, it was fun.
Just wait and see. Grass clippings fly, it's a symphony. To Puni lawn mowing, we're the best in town. Making yards vibrant, turning heads around. With every clip and every slice, we bring the beauty, we roll the dice. So here's to the lawns, we'll take our stand. To Puni lawn mowing, the finest in the land.
Yeah, that was a pretty good job, alright. Good to get that one done. Okay, next one. Alright. Yeah, that was pretty good, that one. That one definitely. Now this is actually continuation of that job. So that was the back of it. This is the side of it. Check it out. It was all basically just weeds that growing through. Well, basically just that's the side walkway, and they've just used a layer of aggregate stones, I guess. Probably the stuff you'd put in your concrete. Yeah, pretty, cheap landscaping. Like this type of landscaping. But I mean, that's maintainable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was over growing, no doubt about it. But I had to be very careful there. See there to the left there was actually like a drainage pipe. It's part of the drainage, like because there's actually supposed to be a some type of concrete walkway there, and you normally come in, you put down a concrete path, and then they'll bring it up to the level where it's sort of just flush with that drainage pipe, because obviously to drain the water away when you get a lot of rain sitting on the concrete slab. But yeah, had to be very careful. Always got to be careful with these jobs. Like you don't try and bust up pipes and stuff like that, because or bust up anything, windows, because it's all stones as well. So you got to worry about windows. You got to worry about busting through people's plumbing. These jobs when they're like this, you're sometimes walking in a little bit blind. So this is the other side. It wasn't as bad. It was very similar terrain. It's just a stony, rocky part, but luckily on this side there wasn't as much water and as much growth on that side as in comparison to the other side. So, and so that was it anyway. So that one was all done, as you can see. Beautiful. I went through and sprayed that area, but it probably will need spraying again because usually after a few weeks, to a month, you want to come back and spray these areas out, and then you'll find they don't come back. I mean, unless you're keen and you want to get out there and like weed it out and get a spade maybe and scrape it every now and again. But most people just don't have time to do that. This particular customer, they actually don't even go outside. So that was that one. Okay, now moving to the front of this property. Moving to the front of this property, we had the nature strip. And on the nature strip, we had the weeds. Now, when I quoted this job, I sort of quoted that I'd just brush cut it, but I decided, bugger it. It'd look way better if everything got scraped out. Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer of an area. It'd be better if it actually had some grass laid down or something, but it's sort of like a, they go with this fancy looking sandstone looking type aggregate type toppings type finish. And same with this part of the property. It was full of weeds, in between rocks though, like decent sized rocks, so it wasn't as bad. It wasn't too bad, the front, but needed it, needed the TLC. So cleared all that. See, and as you can see there, I've got the weed spray out, just backing it up with a spray, but most likely needs to probably be sprayed a couple of weeks or so, 3-4 weeks later. This time of the year in Wyndham City, it is winter, and being winter, things don't grow as much, so it's a good time to get everything done now, definitely. And yeah, so I would suggest with a job like that, you come back and respray, wait for the next warmest day. And we're getting some warm days, so we'll definitely get them. It's always harder to spray in winter too, when the weather's colder, but you can do it. You just got to make sure you do it when it's not going to rain, and wait for the odd sunny day, because believe it or not, even in winter, we still get the odd sunny day. A lot of people don't think that. Even people who live in Melbourne don't realise. They just think it's cold, but if you're outside, you do notice sometimes that parts of the day are a lot warmer than normal. Okay. Okie dokie. I'll wait the O. Okay, so yeah, if you don't know me, my name is Chris. I'm from Te Puni Lawn Mowing Services. We come from Wyndham Vale. There's my address there. Wyndham Vale. Phone number. Yeah, we've been mowing lawns now for 12 years, professionally, for this business. This business has been around for 12 years. We started in 2013, April of 2013. I used to work in warehousing. Worked for Target Distribution, actually. It was a good job. I had a job there with them for about 13 years, actually. I went from casual to permanent. And yeah, and then I decided after warehousing and working in that type of environment, I didn't really want to go back to doing that sort of work, and I didn't really have time to. Well, I didn't really want to. I didn't want to try and. I'd tried a few other things out already, but I didn't like it. Like, I'd done office work, I'd done mortgage broking, even. I even have a diploma in that, but it just wasn't me. I didn't want to be sort of like, sort of held up in the office or a building, or especially a warehouse. So I decided that I wanted to work outside and work independently. So gardening was an easy option. I didn't have to do much training to do it. The hardest thing about it is knowing how to quote the work, because you need to know how quick you are, and you got to know every aspect of, like it's not as easy as what people think. Being a professional lawnmower man, by the way, I mean, the job might look easy, but it's really hard to quote the jobs and make money off it. Even today, I still find it hard, because basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to forecast how long a job's going to take you, and in your mind, you know how much you want to get paid, but it's all about giving a quote, and so it takes a little while to get that ability, believe it or not. This job here is a cool job. I've been doing this job for a couple of years. They get me back every 3 or 4 months or so. It's not as bad as what it used to be when I first started doing this job. When I first started this job, and I've got videos of it, of it earlier. That was all just covered in weeds and stuff, and so, and over time, this is just generally what I did. I just kept trimming it down, sprayed it for a little while. The nature strip on this property is pretty crap. It's pretty average. Just doesn't grow. Some blocks, some blocks and some nature strips and some people's properties, the soil is just different. It really varies, to be honest, around the area. Especially in the older areas, you find that they have they haven't landscaped as well as they should have from the beginning, especially on nature strips. And so yeah, you get the odd nature strip like this one here that will hardly ever grow. Like, you could probably not cut this one for 2 years, and it wouldn't be like as out of control as what some lawns would be. But yeah, that was a cool job. This one here, now this is the one. That's the one I want to show you. This is the back to that front with the rocks. This one here, no. That one here, yeah, that's the one. This one here, oh, this one was a beauty. This one was a beauty, and I actually ended up losing some of the footage, so I couldn't actually show the whole of this job. But this one here was a beauty. Like this was old school. This was actually in Laverton. This one, so out of my area that I normally work in. But they gave me the big call up. They'd seen that I do big jobs, and I'm pretty adverse to the big ones, and so they got me in because this block is a Laverton block, and if you understand Laverton, you know how big the blocks are out there. Man, that was massive. These are just all part of other jobs, but I want to concentrate a little bit more on that job. I've actually got a dedicated video for that. Where is this? Is this it? Well, this is the front of it. See, this is the front of that property. That's what I mean. I did 2 separate videos for this one, or even 3, I think, because that was the front, and look how big the front is. The front wasn't bad though. The front was a walk in the park. Like, that was like easy, like do it with your eyes shut, this part. But this one here, where are we? See, that's the job. There, look how thick the grass was. Woo. Look down the side. Look at that. See, it was even going up the garage, and then all the way through there. See all through there? Look at that. Those are all pavers, all under there, through there. See all that bit there? Pavers, like that. And I had to basically come through and brush cut all that out. I didn't sort of have to, because really the job was for me to really just mow all this down. But when you come into a job like this and you look at these jobs and you go, you know what, I can try and make this job and this place look way better, you know, not just come in and do a shit job and do what some people will do, you know, they'll come in and just do a half pie, just chop it down and, you know, charge. I come in, I try and make it look as good as I can, try and give the place, you know, its appeal. But as you can see, look at that, look how thick all the grass is. And now this went all the way around this garage too. Now I only really got the coverage of this part around here. I didn't actually show this bit around here, but you can sort of get the picture, you know, of this job. It was huge. Look at that. Check that out, you know. Whew. All through here, all that, man. That all needed to be whippersnipped and mowed. All of it. And like I said, you don't want to just come into these jobs and do a half pie ass job, you know, and just chop and drop and go, hey, you know, it looks better than what it was. You want to leave an impression. See, look at that. Look how thick that stuff is. This job was pretty thick, man. I will admit. And through here, and that. It's all concrete area once again. Walkway. Now that all through here, once again, is pavers. I couldn't trim out every single area around here. Didn't really need to, really, because it still actually came up okay. I just mowed over those pavers, but the pavers back in that last part, I made to look good, because it was around because it's around the garage, so you know people walk around there. With this part around here, see, as you can see around here, see these are all pavers. These needed to be whippersnipped as well, but I just couldn't put the time in, considering all of that. Look at that, all that grass there. It's a barbecue. It goes a little bit around this corner here and under that tree. I had to get under that tree. We had to trim all that out. See, there's the garage. There's the paving area. This job was massive. It was really massive. You can see the difference already though, like compared to how it was with the, you know, with the concrete pads and everything just cleared out. It was such a good job. This job was, I was even impressed, especially for what I charged too. Trust me, it was a deal. There's those pavers. See how they've all been cleared out. Now, as you can see, there's more there, but you know, in that area you'd be happy to leave it like that. But once again, a little bit more time and you could actually trim all that out. I would recommend spraying it first with some weed spray and then trimming it. the whole area could be kept maintained all the time. It could be an entertaining area, but you know, but people just don't stay onto it. Now this is the area. See, we had to trim down here and around there. Yeah, it was real fun. And I also went into the garden bed area over to the left there as well, and just trimmed out a little bit of the shrubbery and all that. But then even along the in that area there, it's quite swampy in there. Could do with quite a trim, but it's all good, you know. It's quite handy. And there's still a little bit of grass in the barbecue, but yeah, they need to have a barbecue and they can burn it. But yeah, as you can see, it's a big difference, man. Big difference. Yeah, it took some effort to mow this one. I'm not gonna lie. Took a few hours. Jobs like this definitely test your professionalism in mowing. You know, there are, like everybody. Sometimes we get pushed. We wonder whether or not we can even do these jobs sometimes. But yeah, I did it. But anyway, you know, it's been a really good recap. Just going on looking at some of the jobs I've done. I've got plenty of other jobs too that I've done that we could talk about. But anyway, I'm going to call it a night, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. If you didn't join me tonight, if you're joining me at any time, I'd like to thank you anyway. So I am going to say thank you very much, and we shall catch up another time. Get some lawns mowed. I tell you what, every lawn has a story. Take it easy, guys.